All right, let's get this party started. Hi, everyone. So great to see everyone here. I am so anxious and nervous about this. I hope you guys are starting to have a good time already. This is Ed3 Con, the Evolution of Education and Web3 conference. I can't believe this moment has finally come. This has taken 6 months of planning and a completely volunteer-driven project. This is the first gamified virtual conference with for Web3 for education. What do all those things mean? We'll explain it in a few minutes, but I'm so glad to see you all here. I'm Brittany Saroff. I'm the co-founder of Ed3 DAO.
And I'm Mike Peck, co-founder of Ed3 DAO as well. And I want to welcome you all to our first Ed3 Con, the first of hopefully very many, where we explore the intersections of Web3 and education. We're so excited to have you all here. And it's just we're really pumped to be able to share all the work that we've been putting into this over the last few months. So thank you all so much for joining us. And we hope you have a great time this weekend.
Awesome. All right, so let's kick it off. So for this kickoff, we're going to talk about 4 things. We're going to talk a little bit about what is Web3 to just give you a quick primer on it. You're going to have so much more content around it throughout the weekend. We're going to talk about why Web3 matters so much for education from our perspective. We're going to talk about what Ed3 DAO is and how to optimize your experience in this conference. So let's kick it off really quickly with a teeny primer on what is Web3. So first of all, Web3 is the evolution of the web. Here's a really quick history. In the 60s and 70s, I don't know if you knew this, but during the Cold War, the US had one system controlling its nuclear weapon systems. It worried that an attack would disable the system and prevent the US from counterattacking. So they built a decentralized system of many computers distributed across the country to control those missile systems. So if one computer got attacked, the defense system would remain operational. And that was one of the beginnings of the decentralized web. So then a guy named Tim Berners-Lee came along in 1990 and created the World Wide Web. This allowed people to browse the internet for the very first time. And the first version of the web was actually decentralized and open source, meaning anyone could build freely upon it. Massive organizations started to emerge, but they started to make people's lives easier by allowing us to actually browse things on the internet. The web developed an ethos of operation. It prioritized building and fast prototyping, open source and open networks, collaboration, and innovation. That was what Web 1.0 was about. We call Web 1.0 read because at that point, there weren't a lot of coders around. And so there weren't a lot of opportunities for us to actually be able to contribute. So we were able to consume content, but not contribute to it. By 2005, the web had evolved to include websites that enabled you to actually contribute to the content. Social media apps like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Reddit allowed people to publish content online for the first time without any technical abilities. Website creation tools like WordPress and Wix allowed us to create our own websites without knowing how to code. And this fundamentally changed the way that we operated. We got to connect with people all over the world. We got to engage with each other. It gives individuals the power to publish and share content, which really brought the world together. So we call Web 2.0 right, because we're able to contribute to the content on the web. The ethos of Web 2.0, though, came with a lot of problems because there was no other way to generate revenue for these apps that were making our lives easier. They were able to leverage our data to be able to sell our data and basically market ads to us. At that point, we were really uncomfortable putting our credit cards online. So big companies had to revert to this advertising methodology to actually make money. And so because these apps needed more eyes, there was also a lot of clickbait, fake news, misinformation, psychological attacks to addict people to the internet. Web 2 changed the ethos of the web from building to business, from open to closed networks, from collaboration to monopolies, and from innovation to profit generation. In fact, Tim Berners-Lee, who is now a bit older, has been quoted as saying, "This is not the web we wanted to create." So this is where Web 3.0 comes in, and this is what this conference is all about. Blockchain has ushered the further evolution of the internet. It allows us to distribute the way people engage with data so that there is no central entity controlling the information. It distributes information across many nodes like a puzzle. Each puzzle piece has its own special hash that can't be tampered with. And so we call Web 3.0 own, because individuals are able to own their own intellectual property and data created on the web because of blockchain. So the ethos of Web 3.0 has already shifted from business to building, and building small businesses. From closed to open. We're going back to open and open networks and open source networks. From monopolies to collaboration, everybody in Web3 is wanting to collaborate with each other and not be tied down to owning everything that has to be in it. It's all about sharing the things that are in it. And from money making to innovation and money making for the individual, so that it's not monopolies that are making money, but it's the individual. And then also about regenerative systems. Now, the reason we're so excited about it as educators is because the building mentality, the small scale building mentality is also leading to creating micro schools. The open source and open scale is leading to open education and unbundled learning. The collaboration and the community-driven ethos is leading to personalization and self-sovereign ownership and identity. And the innovation and the individual money-making and regenerative systems is leading to new ways of schooling and new forms of learning, including hybrid learning, immersive learning, and regenerative learning. So let's dive a little bit deeper into Web3 meets education.
One of the big questions that we really want to answer or begin to explore this weekend is, why talk about Web3 in education? How is this going to impact the future of teaching and learning? So if you want to head to the next slide, Vriti, with this shift in Web 2 to Web 3, we can actually look back historically at the shifts from Web 1 to Web 2. When we get into Web 2 territory, we're starting to talk about changes to the way that we live, work, play. We know this pretty well today as the gig economy. People have the option to engage in using different platforms to pursue work of their own interests. Remote work has become very popular, especially in light of COVID. But as we approach Web 3, we can expect more changes coming to the future of work. As the web evolves, we may see the emergence of what we call the creator economy. Now, I can't take the term as my own, but many are beginning to talk about how is it that these new decentralized platforms will allow people to begin to explore the opportunity to create and own those creations in a way that we can't do with current platforms we use today. Now, one of the other things that we're already starting to see is how this is going to impact our daily lives. Those pictures are very recognizable that I've included in the center there. Instagram, Starbucks, even Pearson, one of the big educational publishers, are beginning to discuss how Web3 is going to play a part in their future strategy. All three of them have begun to discuss the use of things like NFTs. So we can say for pretty certain that Web3 is going to have an impact, not just on the way that we live our day-to-day lives, but even on education. And so what that means is, as the web continues to evolve, there's going to be a huge importance for key skills that we're already beginning to have conversations about in the education sphere, things like digital citizenship, financial literacy. The 4 C's are a great place to begin when we talk about creativity, collaboration, communication, creativity. And so when we talk about the 4 C's, I'm going to add a 5th, and that is community. One of the keys that we're seeing develop across all of Web3 is the importance of community. How can people work together, form new coordination strategies to begin to achieve all sorts of great things? So, perfect. The other thing that we want to talk about is that our students are already there. We talk about the metaverse as being this far off place that, has happened already or hasn't really materialized. But when we think about our kids, they're already in the metaverse. Oftentimes they're spending hours and hours outside of school in platforms, talking with their friends, forming new friendships with people around the world. One of the platforms that you probably would recognize, Fortnite, is a place where students are going and they're playing games and they're forming communities and they're making friends. They're really experiencing the metaverse in a way that is pretty real to them. Not only are they going into the metaverse, but they're creating and investing in Web3 already. The picture on the left-hand side is a picture of the collection called Weird Whales that was created by a 12-year-old who's now 14 in England, who created this whole collection by himself, from the code base all the way up to selling the NFT collection, to a point where he made about $160,000 in one day. Like, mind-blowing. Our students are already in the space, investing and creating. And one of the other key points here is that when we talk about either Web3 or metaverse type technologies or spaces, kids understand digital assets. Whether you're talking about Roblox or Minecraft or Fortnite, kids are going out and they're finding time to either spend real money or find ways to spend value they've accrued in those platforms to be able to buy digital assets. So our students are already starting to work towards this next generation of the web. And so we need to be able to think about that, or keep that in focus as we begin to think about how that applies to education. Now, one of the things that we've begun to do in education, I think, is a great conversation, is how do we shift ownership of learning from the teacher to the learner themselves? And this is a conversation that's been occurring in schools, is how do we increase learner agency? How do we give them opportunity to choose the process, product, or path? Well, why would we stop there when the opportunity exists to create new tools to be able to have them do things like own their credentials? When we talk about something as antiquated as like a transcript, that's something that's been around for 50, 100 years, from paper form to now digital. But when you talk about getting a transcript, going through a university or going to a high school, you basically get a PDF that has your name on it that's just been verified by the school. What happens when learners begin to own their credentials as they make their way through their own learning journey? And more importantly is, how do they then take those credentials and build their own identity on the web? When we start talking about things like learner and employment records, these credentials can play a key part in giving students the opportunity to not just show what they know, but create opportunities for employment in their future, whether in high school, college, or beyond. So that brings us to the story of Ed3 DAO. We have this awesome new technology that's in our hands, or coming into our hands, and we need a place where we can begin to have these conversations. And enters Ed3 DAO. What is Ed3 DAO? We're an organization that's governed by the community. We're a global nonprofit based out of the US, but found worldwide. We have members in almost all the continents, sans Antarctica. But our main mission is to catalyze innovation and education at scale using Web3 technologies. So we're looking at this through three different phases. The first phase, which we're in now, is onboarding and upskilling. Our goal is to educate 1 million educators about Web3 through free resources, events, and micro courses. And I think it's really important at this point to explain that when we talk about educators, we're not just talking about people who are in classrooms. There are educators all around us. And so how do we bring people who are educating in schools, in their communities, in their households, into the conversation, give them the tools they need, upskill them so they can be able to teach these skills to young people, but also then go out into Web3 and use these skills in their own right. When we go on to phase two, we want to be able to incubate. We want to empower educators to begin to find the problems that exist in education and solve them using Web3 tools. And last but certainly not least, we want to bring this to scale. Identify ways that we can bring big impact solutions, both internally in schools and externally outside of schools, to scale.
And I'll chime in here. One of the reasons we started Ed3 DAO is because we know that education is fundamentally broken. It has been for a really long time. It has been across many different countries and the world. And what the DAO provides us is an opportunity to think differently. It may not be necessarily, the new technology that's helping us get there. It's about the new mindsets that's helping us get there. And so if we can make educators multipliers of innovation, multipliers of new ideas and of practices that are efficacious in education and that are more personalized for students, then we can really change the way that education operates from the ground up. No more will we have, big business and technology changing the way that we do things in classrooms. We want teachers to actually think about, well, what are the main pain points and how can we actually solve them? And then the incubator is going to be really important for us because it's going to allow us to actually empower educators in ways that they don't have access to right now. They will be able to learn about, marketing skills and business skills and be able to understand Web3 technology and tools to be able to solve the major problems in education. So we're really excited about that.
So how do you become a part of the community? Well, we have not a program. We've created an Ed3 Educators Membership NFT collection. It's our first NFT collection, and we're super proud to be able to bring together educators from all walks of life across the entire globe to this community. So the Ed3 NFT provides you lifetime membership into our community. And it is resellable, but there's only 6,000 of them. And so each one is unique and brings its own little flair with the creative backgrounds, designs, and the awesome things that they're holding in their hands, representing all the different superpowers of our educators. And so our collection is still live to mint, but you can also, and you can purchase them with either credit card or with crypto. With our educators, not only do you get access into our community, but you also get access into events and products. So those holders who had purchased an NFT prior to the conference got free access into the conference as a part of the utility. It also grants Ed3 educator holders access into our micro-credential courses. So we just finished running our first 2 courses, Intro to DeFi and also Intro to Blockchain in the last month. And we're super excited to be able to offer more courses coming in the near future, focusing on Web3, AR, VR, and the metaverse, and more to come.
All right, so that leads us to where we are today, this conference. One of the main reasons why we decided to have this conference is because there isn't enough information right now about Web3 specifically contextualized for education. And so our main goal today is we want to have fun, we want to meet cool people, and we want to learn about Web3. All 3 of these things might feel like a hand wave, but all 3 of these things are really, really important for the context of what we're doing. So when we say we want to have fun, we know that the future of education is engaging, it's personalized, it allows you to choose your own adventure. And that's why we had this conference in an avatar-based space, because we wanted to actually emulate the way that we think that education is eventually going to go. Now, in all transparency, this is a very experimental project. So things will go wrong today, and that is okay. And this is basically the start of a journey towards this type of learning. So we're so glad that you're here with us for that. The meet cool people thing is really important too. Our Web3 and education community is really small. And we are actually convening about 90% of them in this space over this weekend, which is just crazy to think about. And so please make an effort to meet the people around you, because they are the innovators that have identified Web3 and education to be the thing that is going to change education in the world. So you're going to find your co-collaborators, you might find co-founders, you might find friends, you might find, pen pals, whatever it is. Meet people today, please. Just go and make a friend as fast as you can and over this weekend. And the last part is about learn about Web3. If you have looked through the schedule, you'll see that there are so many topics around Web3, but they're all focused on how Web3 is going to impact education. This is the first event of its kind where we're actually talking in a very focused and concerted way about Ed3, the evolution of education using Web3 technology. Now, Web3 for us is a giant umbrella that includes metaverse, blockchain, self-sovereign identity. It includes decentralized learning, unbundled learning, student-centered learning, regenerative learning. It's all of those things that we think the future of education should entail. So this weekend, you're going to learn about all of those things. So if you've been wondering, well, why should I care about Web3 as an educator? Or why is Web3 even important? Or will Web3 even last beyond a fad? Well, this weekend will help you understand whether, how those things are going to happen, basically. So just a quick overview of what you're going to see this weekend. You're going to see Edtalks, which is what we're doing right now. So the Edtalks are actually happening through a live stream on Zoom, and you can watch them on YouTube or you can watch them in the platform. We recommend watching them in the platform so that you can make friends and you can go in and out of the rooms. You'll see learning labs. Those are smaller sessions that are very hands-on, and you'll get one-on-one time with the facilitator and do some really hands-on learning there. Masterminds are a little bit bigger, where you're going to have a little bit of a talk, but you're also going to have access to the facilitator. And the best way to be able to engage in these talks is to be situated in the small groups, have small conversations, and then be sure to go over to the microphones, which are in every room, so that you can project your voice out to the entire room and ask questions, make comments, things like that, and follow the facilitator's instructions in doing that. Social connections, as I said, is super important. Please make a friend today. Web3 projects, we've got vendors and Web3 projects sprinkled all throughout the piazza, the main area where you are right now. And that space has all of these really fantastic either education projects or Web3 projects that are doing something that's inventive. So go ahead and talk to the vendors there. There are some people that are from the booths that will be able to provide more information, or you might be able to find another friend that has used the product and you can sort of talk to them. We've got an NFT gallery. The NFT gallery has artwork that has been submitted by our members for projects that are focused on social good. So when you go into the NFT gallery, you'll be able to learn about some really cool projects. And finally, the unconference. So you're probably wondering, why is this an unconference? A few reasons. One is an unconference really epitomizes the ethos of what Web3 is. It's about decentralized learning. It's about self-organization. It's about personalization. And so day 2, which is Saturday, tomorrow, of the conference is going to be an unconference. And there's a platform in the space that will allow you to actually facilitate and create sessions or join sessions that other attendees have created. That platform will allow you to create the schedule, and then we're actually going to let you take over the entire city. We're not going to facilitate anything. We're not going to have any rules. You will be able to go and create your own sessions, talk to other people, hang out, whatever you want to do. We encourage moving from session to session. We encourage just chilling and talking to people and making friends. We encourage, facilitating, even if you're not an expert in facilitation. That is the entire sort of like principle of the unconference. So we really hope you take advantage of that. We want to thank all the facilitators and the presenters. We have so many incredible experts in the room tonight and over the weekend. And we're really lucky to have them because none of these people have been forced here. None of these people are actually even getting paid, to be honest. These are all volunteers. All of these speakers are volunteers, and we're volunteers too, by the way. Mike and I, along with most of the people that are on the Ed3 DAO team, it's a largely voluntary team. And so the fact that this entire project has come together with just the goodness of people and the goodness of heart is just mind-blowing. So thank you so much for that. Some things to keep in mind while you're at the conference. Number one is you're going to see these like purple astronaut people hanging around. These are helpers. These are all volunteers, including myself, that are going to be walking around. If you have any technical issues, if you're lost, if you're confused, go up to that person and start having a conversation with them. They will be there to help you, and they'll be there all throughout the conference. You'll see schedule postings everywhere. So this is going to lead straight to our website, and you can check out our schedule anytime so that you know exactly what's happening. As I mentioned before, there is a sign-up platform for day 2, which is the unconference. You'll see that there are these like little power-up hearts all throughout the conference. The more of these that you submit, the higher the chances of you winning NFTs that we're going to raffle off 1 week after the conference. And basically, this is our way to incentivize you to give us feedback, because again, this is our first time doing something at this scale and in an avatar-based platform in an unconference style. So we need your feedback. Please tell us exactly what went well, exactly what went not well, so that we can improve upon it in the future. We've got a testimonials platform also. If you do not mind, with the help from our friends Flipgrid, we are actually submitting testimonials of what you think of the conference so that we can post them on our website in the future on promotional content. If you don't want your face shown, you can just do an audio. If you don't want to do it at all, that's okay too, but we welcome you to do that. One quick thing, this was an issue for me that I didn't realize. If you are having trouble signing in after the first time, so if you're signing in for the second time, but you can't do it, it's because you probably have your platform open in another tab. So you can't open this platform in 2 tabs at one time. You can only open it in 1 tab at a time. So just keep that in mind. And the second thing is that if you experience anything that seems like it's not going right, just reload your browser tab. And finally, things will go wrong, but we'll all be okay. And I'm really glad that you're here with us. Before we kick it off to the next session, just want to thank our team. This is the largely voluntary team. They're humble yet mighty, all part-time, and they have put so much effort and love into this. So thank you to Dagan, Maria, Aaron, Jenny, Jesse, Dokon, and Irina. You guys have just, without you, none of this would be possible. The Ed3 DAO wouldn't be possible. And it's your love and your investment, again, mostly voluntary, that has allowed this to happen. So if you see these guys around, please thank them. Thank you for taking a leap into the future of education with us. We are so glad to have you here. And now, I can't believe we ended on time. Amazing. We're going to have a 15-minute break because the next up, we're going to have 2 simultaneous sessions at the same time. We're going to have one Edtalk in Edtalk Hall 2 and another Edtalk in Edtalk Hall 3. One of them is with Taylor Kendall and Kelly Page. They're both brilliant minds that have been working on Web3 and education for a much longer time than me and Mike have. And they're going to talk about the Internet of Education. Taylor is from Learning Economy Foundation and Kelly is from Digital Promise. And then in the other room, Edtalk 3, we have Nick Dukoff and Claire Zhao, both brilliant minds. Again, Nick has been working in Web3 far longer than I have, and Claire has been investing in Web3, which is really exciting. They're both venture partners, and they're going to talk about the landscape of venture-backed Web3 edtech. Thank you guys so much for being here. We're going to close out this Edtalk, and then we're going to move into Edtalk number 2 and 3. See you guys there. Thanks again.